Did you know that just one can of beer a day can trigger real changes in your body, even without causing any immediate symptoms? The habit of consuming alcohol daily, even in small amounts, affects vital functions, and this has been extensively documented by science. Numerous studies have analyzed the effects of daily alcohol consumption on areas such as the liver, brain, hormones, metabolism, and sleep quality. The results show that what many consider harmless can actually pose a cumulative health risk. In this video, you'll understand how the body reacts when beer becomes part of your routine, based on scientific evidence and up-to-date data. No exaggeration, no drama, just facts. Among all the organs affected by daily alcohol consumption, the liver is one of the first to feel the impact. This is because it acts as a filter. It metabolizes ethanol and tries to neutralize its toxic effects. When this exposure happens every day, the organ loses recovery time between doses, accumulating silent damage. Even in small quantities, alcohol is processed as a toxic substance. This can lead to the buildup of fat in liver cells, a condition known as hepatic steatosis. This type of change doesn't cause pain, but it can progress to inflammation, fibrosis, or even cirrhosis, depending on the duration and frequency of consumption. The most concerning part is that this can go on for years without any apparent symptoms. You continue to feel fine, unaware that your liver is overloaded, and the more consistent this habit is, the greater the risk of developing chronic problems. Even one beer a day is enough to cause adjustments in brain function. It's not about intoxication, but subtle changes in neural connections involved in memory, concentration, and emotional regulation. A study from the University of Oxford, which followed over 25,000 individuals, showed that continuous alcohol consumption is associated with a slight reduction in the volume of certain brain areas. These regions are linked to cognition, that is, focus, decision-making ability, and emotional control. Alcohol also interferes with the production and balance of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which are tied to pleasure and well-being. At first, this might even create a sense of relaxation, but over time, the brain starts to adapt, requiring more stimulation to feel the same effect. The result, minor anxiety episodes, mood swings, and difficulty concentrating can emerge. That unexplained irritability the next day, or the feeling of being a bit off. It's not always fatigue. Sometimes it's your brain trying to rebalance its internal chemistry. Many people believe that having a beer before bed helps them relax. Indeed, alcohol can induce sleep more quickly, but this effect is superficial. What science shows is that with daily consumption, the quality of nighttime rest worsens, even if you sleep the same number of hours. The reason is simple. Alcohol disrupts entry into the deeper stages of sleep, especially REM sleep, which is essential for memory consolidation, mood regulation, and brain rest. In other words, you sleep, but you don't truly rest. Additionally, alcohol causes micro-awakenings throughout the night, brief moments when the brain activates, interrupting the natural sleep cycle, often without you noticing. This explains why some people wake up tired, even after what seems like a long night. Over time, this ongoing disruption harms the immune system, reduces mental clarity during the day, and can even intensify anxiety symptoms. What seemed like a sleep aid turns into a silent saboteur. And since the impact is cumulative, the signs only become evident weeks later. A standard can of beer has an average of 150 calories. Seem like a little? Multiply by 30 days, and you'll have an extra 4,500 calories in the month, not counting the snacks that often accompany the moment. This extra intake, if not offset by energy expenditure, turns into fat, especially in the abdominal area. The infamous beer belly isn't just aesthetic. It's linked to an increased risk of metabolic diseases, such as insulin resistance, hypertension, and low-grade chronic inflammation. But there's another important factor. Alcohol slows down fat burning. This happens because the liver, while processing ethanol, temporarily pauses the metabolism of other nutrients. So as the body focuses on eliminating the alcohol, it tends to store fat more easily. Even those who maintain a balanced diet and exercise can notice difficulty in losing inches when drinking beer every day. It's like running with the handbrake on. The effort is there, but the results take longer to show. Frequent beer consumption also disrupts hormonal balance, something that's not always noticed right away. In men, for example, alcohol can reduce testosterone production, the main hormone related to muscle strength, sexual desire, energy, and fertility. This hormonal drop occurs for two main reasons. Alcohol directly affects the glands that control testosterone production, and at the same time increases the conversion of this hormone into estrogen, which is naturally higher in women. This imbalance promotes fat accumulation and loss of lean muscle mass. In women, the impact is different but equally relevant. Daily alcohol consumption can alter menstrual cycles and increase circulating estrogen levels. This has been associated in population studies with a higher risk of developing certain types of cancer, such as breast cancer. Additionally, beer contains phytoestrogens, compounds found in hops that mimic the body's natural estrogen. In excess and with continuous use, these elements can intensify unwanted hormonal effects even when the alcohol amount seems small. The body feels it even if you don't notice it immediately. For a long time, the idea circulated that moderate doses of alcohol could protect the heart, but more recent studies based on larger samples and more rigorous analyses have been debunking this myth. One published review pointed out that even small daily amounts can increase the risk of hypertension, arrhythmias, and other cardiovascular events over time. Beer specifically brings a concerning combo. Besides the alcohol, it contains simple carbohydrates that can raise triglycerides. This effect, combined with alcohol's negative impact on blood vessel function, the so-called endothelium, gradually compromises circulation. Another critical point is the elevation of blood pressure. Even those with no history of hypertension can develop increased pressure over time, especially if consumption is constant. And since symptoms usually take a while to appear, many people only notice the problem when it's already established. Therefore, that daily little beer, which seems harmless, can silently contribute to heart diseases, especially when combined with other factors like sedentary lifestyle, stress, or unbalanced diet. Many people think alcohol dependence is tied to excess, but science shows the risk isn't just in the quantity, but in the repetition. When drinking becomes part of the routine, every end of the day, every dinner, every Friday, the body and brain start associating alcohol with moments of relaxation and reward. This pattern is called conditioned use. It's when you don't drink to get drunk, but because your body already expects that dose, and its absence can cause discomfort, irritability, trouble sleeping, or mild anxiety. It doesn't seem serious, but that's how the brain starts creating a bond with alcohol. Over time, this automatic ritual can make room for psychological dependence. Subtle, functional, but present. You don't realize you're trapped in the habit until the day you try to break it and feel the absence. The risk isn't in having a beer occasionally, but in turning this consumption into something predictable and indispensable. It's this emotional bond with the drink that often makes changes difficult, even when you're aware of the negative effects. Yes, there are studies pointing to possible positive effects from moderate beer consumption, but always with many caveats. Some compounds in hops and barley, like polyphenols and antioxidants, may have anti-inflammatory action or benefit the gut microbiome, but these effects are small and can be obtained from other sources such as vegetables, fruits, teas, and nuts. Additionally, there are studies indicating that social consumption in positive environments can contribute to psychological well-being. The problem is that these benefits disappear when consumption frequency increases and alcohol starts being used as a daily escape valve. In other words, it's not the alcohol that's beneficial, it's the context. And even then, the effects are subtle, temporary, and easily outweighed by healthier habits. No doctor recommends starting to drink because of possible benefits. In fact, the current scientific consensus is clear. If you don't drink, there's no reason to start. If you already do, moderation is the way, and giving your body breaks is more important than it seems. Drinking one beer a day may seem like a simple, even cultural gesture, but when this habit repeats daily, it stops being neutral. Science shows that even small amounts of alcohol consumed regularly have a cumulative impact on various body areas: liver, brain, hormones, metabolism, sleep, and heart. These effects are discrete, emerge gradually, and are therefore easily ignored, but they're there, silently altering internal processes. This isn't about demonizing beer, it's about understanding that daily consumption, even if moderate, carries real consequences. If you enjoy a beer every now and then, that's fine. But maybe it's time to rethink the frequency. Observing how your body behaves during breaks can reveal much more than you imagine. If this content gave you a new perspective on a common habit, share your opinion in the comments, or send it to someone who will also benefit from this information. See you in the next video.